How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and as you can see, we're back at it with our latest Big Mets update segment, a July 9th edition that we're getting into with this one, and this comes right after the Mets took down the Baltimore Orioles in a huge comeback fashion this past night by a final score of 7-6. So if you want to see my initial thoughts and reaction to that, make sure to do so after watching this video and the live stream portion of the channel here, where you guys will see all of our post-game coverage. Because today, guys, we have to get into the latest reliever signing for the New York Mets, as David Stearns, of course, is surprised absolutely nobody, is constantly adding arms. This time he signs veteran right-handed reliever Junior Fernandez. I know you're saying, Wardy, who's Junior Fernandez? Exactly. That's where we're going to get into what you guys need to know about his game, the upside, potential downside, his impact, if at all, at the major league level. Because if there's one thing we know about David Stearns, is that usually when he's going out of his way to acquire guys mid-season, it's because they're going to probably impact this team sooner rather than later. Now it's just a matter of if they're going to be a positive or a negative impact there in that bullpen. From there, we're going to talk more on not only the bullpen as Brooks Raley, how did he fare, and yet another rehab outing for the AAA Syracuse. And speaking of AAA Syracuse, we have some key reporting to get into regarding Francisco Alvarez, because not only has Alvarez been tearing the cover off the baseball since being sent down to Syracuse, but the Mets have him down for specific reasons, and it does appear that the Mets are going to be able to take advantage of Alvarez being down in Syracuse in more ways than one. We're going to expand on that, along with how contrasting Eric Chavez's point of view has been on Francisco Alvarez and his hitting approach, which I think a lot of us fans believe as to why Alvarez has had inconsistent offensive play since then to a degree, versus what JP Arencibia, a former MLB catcher who's a coach there for the Mets in Syracuse, has been praising about the same player in Alvarez. We're going to expand on that reporting thanks to the great Will Salmon of The Athletic, and then we're also going to touch on Starling Marte, Tyler McGill, the latest on their injury status, and wrap up the show what is happening there in the farm from Port St. Lucie all the way up to AAA Syracuse. So thank you guys kindly, as always, for hitting that like and subscribe on as you chime in for our latest content regarding this New York Metropolitan team. And listen up, as we have a quick word from yours truly with a big event that we have just a couple weeks away. Listen up, everybody. It's Wardy here, and as you can see, we are at gorgeous Citi Field, and folks, you can get the ultimate, the prime experience with your guy Wardy at our first ever official Wardy Day. August 1st, Mets San Francisco Giants there for the evening game. The day after the MLB trade deadline, you, your friends, your loved ones, select Mets fans will get the ultimate experience with your guy Wardy. Not only are we going to hang out at the ball game together, but folks, look at this seating. We're going to be live here in the left field lounge. You guys will be able to chop it up with your guy Wardy. We're going to be debating as to who's the best pitcher of the rotation outside of Kodai Senga. We're going to be talking about who's the next best prospect to get called up. How do we feel about the trade deadline acquisitions? And guys, as you get back up here then, we are going to be giving you a $18 drink voucher, and with that drink voucher, you guys are going to be able to hit up the bars that we have right outside of here. So easy, so accessible. Again, prime seating, a truly fantastic experience. Our first ever Wardy Day here at Citi Field, guys, where you will get a chance to hang out with your guy Wardy. And the best part too, not only is it this amazing lounge in left field that you guys will hang out with me, but we're going to be on the field, pre-game access there for a group photo op. So I hope to see you, all you amazing Mets fans there. Click the link if you guys haven't already there to check out our available tickets, and let's go Mets. And not only are we going to be sitting here throughout the course of the ball game, you guys can also check out these seats that we have access to all here in the bar area here, right at the Milagro, where you guys can utilize your $18 drink voucher. Again, this is going to be at Wardy Day, August 1st, 2025. Oh wait, yeah, almost forgot. It's also fireworks night. Bang! Hope to see you guys there. So there it is, everybody. We will have it pinned down below in the comments for you guys to check out that event link should you have interest to hang out with your guy Wardy there on August 1st, the day after the MLB trade deadline. And we're going to be doing a live show at Citi Field there, our post-game coverage with everyone that's going to be with us there in that big group. So hope to see you guys be a part of it. But without further ado, let's get into our first topic today, and let's begin here with the latest signing for this New York Metropolitan team. Because as I mentioned, Junior Fernandez, who exactly is Junior Fernandez? Great question, everybody. Let's deep dive who exactly Junior is. And as you guys will see here beside me by some of the highlights that you guys will be getting today, and they will fluctuate too, because I wasn't able to find endless amount of Junior Fernandez highlights. He doesn't have, this crazy abundance of a major league career, but he does obviously have major league experience, as you guys see during his time with the Cardinals and all that long ago, but certainly long ago enough because you see him in a Cardinals uniform. And Wilson Contreras, the current St. Louis Cardinal, they're still with the Chicago Cubs. So it's been a couple years, obviously, but to break down Junior Fernandez and why the the Mets made the signing, everybody. Let's go ahead and talk about exactly that. Because Fernandez, 28 years of age, mind you, was picked up by the Mets and was officially signed there to a minor league contract. So he's first going to report there to Syracuse. But just because he's on a minor league deal does not mean that the Mets will not consider him at any point. There is a great reality that the Mets will probably consider him at minimum to be a rubber arm there for at least a game, if not more, to see what they have. Because if there's one positive here out of anything, look at Junior Fernandez, who was previously pitching to a just over 5-year ERA, pardon me, that I should be saying there, or just under a 5-year ERA that he had in 31 games for AAA Omaha there, the Kansas City Royals affiliate earlier this season. He has a career 5.17 ERA across 51 Major League Baseball games, going back to the last time that he pitched there was with the Pirates in 2022, where he also played with the Cardinals there in the NL Central as well. But Fernandez, what's notable about him is that this season alone that we saw in the minor leagues, he had 53 batters that he found himself striking out to just 26 walks. And that's good for a right around 12.5 K per nine is what you're getting in Junior Fernandez this year. And if we go back just a couple seasons, and again, I understand that these metrics don't hold the exact same weight as they previously did, but it's notable in the sense that the velocity is still there. Going back to his previous year in the major leagues, he was in the 90th percentile and fastball velo. They're sitting right around 99. He still sits high 90s and can touch triple digits in junior, but like anything else, if you're not a mainstay in the major leagues, it's not necessarily because of velocity, but rather the quality of your stuff. And the last time we saw Junior, he was throwing the sinker, the slider, the four seam, and the change at the major league level. We know that when it comes to all the S's, the sinkers, the sliders, the sweepers, the splitties, that there is no one more that enjoys that than this Mets pitching lab, headlined by Eric Yeagers. What you're getting there, of course, in Desi Drewskill, and obviously Jeremy Hefner. So the Mets are adding another key reliever at 6'3", 215-pounder there, and the veteran Junior Fernandez at the young age of 28, just to see what they could pretty much give him at the major league level. One, they're going to call upon him. They're not going to do anything too crazy. So be on the lookout to see when he does in fact make his Mets debut. He is in AAA Syracuse as of now, but we don't know exactly how long he's going to be down there. If we go back to the last season that Junior actually found himself pitching, was again in 2022 with 2 teams and 18 innings. The K to walk ratio was horrendous, funny enough. Literally, there was only like a 1 difference between his strikeouts per 9 and his walks per 9, but somehow, some way, he posted a 2.4 ERA. And the funniest thing is that even his expected ERA, while it's certainly not great, it's not like, oh my goodness gracious, this guy's horrendous either, at sub 4. The FIP is where you have more of an issue, because that's north of 6. That's just not ideal at all. Not what you want to see. But what we have seen at the major league level is that since his 2019 rookie season, he has not been able to put up those K per nines to the same degree that he's been doing in the minor leagues, because he's had such limited sample size at the major league level. So, and there's one thing that we can say about David Stearns, no matter how much you guys love it or hate him and the decisions that he makes, Stearns is that one kind of guy that will be able to get some type of significance out of a guy that hasn't pitched in the bigs in multiple years. The same way that the Mets got Jose Castillo's first, 7 or 8 outings to not allow an earned run with the Mets before obviously getting exposed a bit more, when Castillo hadn't been productive at the major league level since 2018, mind you. Like literally the last time he was decent at the major league level was 2018, and the Mets just pull it out of there, you know what, right away. We're like, we know exactly how we're going to utilize you and you'll be fine. So whether this guy gets any looks at the major league bullpen, if at all, or none, that has yet to be seen. But David Stearns went out of his way to make this pickup for AAA Syracuse for a reason, because you can always, and I mean always, never have enough arms. So now, guys, going on from talking about Junior Fernandez there in the veteran right-hander, now let's get into a bit on Francisco Alvarez, because I have a lot to say on Alvarez that I want to share with each and every one of you folks. So let's go ahead and do exactly that, because as you guys can see here, and I'm going to pull this up in just a second, everybody, let's see on Alvi that you guys can see here. So there were 2 different pieces that came out from Will Salmon, but I'm going to highlight this one specifically. In Syracuse, Francisco Alvarez shared thoughts and getting demoted, what he's working on AAA, and I quote, "It was not my expectation that they would send me down, but that's what happened. I feel that maybe that is what that can do to get the best for me." So regarding this article that I implore you guys to check out, I will have a link down below in the description. There are 2 different pieces that Salmon came out regarding Francisco Alvarez this past day. And the one notable thing, especially that I want to share, is regarding pretty much how the Mets can take advantage. And I know this is a wrong thing to say, but it's true. The Mets can take advantage of Francisco Alvarez in a way that we weren't initially thinking. When the Mets sent down Francisco Alvarez, it was without question backed by the fact that he was a net negative offensive and defensive player. When you don't get any key productivity out of Alvarez, Alvarez, you need to make proper adjustments, and you can't be doing that consistently at the major league level because this is a results-oriented business. So naturally, Alvarez gets sent down to Syracuse, and now that he's been thriving with 4 home runs, including a bloop of an RBI go-ahead single yesterday they had of himself for the Syracuse Mets just yesterday. Again, we're not complaining about that at all, the same way that we're not complaining about how Alvarez did as he caught Sean Manaea, the Samoan southpaw, in his final rehab outing that we will get into not long after this, guys. But expand more on this article, there are a couple things I really want to highlight. And the one is, if Francisco Alvarez is in the minor leagues until this Saturday, and newsflash, everybody, he's more than likely going to be, obviously. Why would the Mets send him down a couple weeks before the All-Star break just to call him up right before the All-Star break begins? Not a chance that happens, in my opinion. Alvarez will be there through the All-Star break and will return sometime in the second half of the season. But because of that reason, the Mets are going to gain a full year of control on his contract, meaning that Alvarez will have to push an additional year before he can hit the free agent market. Not great for Alvarez, but great for the Mets in the sense of team control. And yes, it is absolutely kind of one of those roster manipulation type things that you see from smaller market clubs. But the difference I want to emphasize here is that the Mets are not doing this purposely necessarily for that reason. They're doing it more so because they know they don't need Alvarez at this level right now, and he's thriving by actually properly adjusting now at the Syracuse level. And to speak more about those adjustments, and again, I'm never complaining about having more team control of a young player, so sign me up every single day of the week. I just understand why Alvarez might not love that, even though he said himself he's not worried about that nor thinking about that. Alvarez is not thinking about anything but getting back to this Mets team. Because as he broke down this article beside me here, he did make a note, and he was smiling cheek to cheek, still in good spirits. He said, I'm always confident, but my confidence isn't like overly high right now, obviously, since being sent down. He said, I didn't expect it to happen, obviously, but I just have to make the most of this. This is not a situation that I can dwell on. I don't have time to think about why was I sent down, but rather I know I'm down here for a reason. I just need to go out and grind out and make myself better than what I was the day prior. In simple terms, is what Alvarez has been saying. And that's a great, very mature mentality to have for Alvarez. And he was blunt by saying that obviously it was a very, an emotional first moment when he first found out about the send down, but it doesn't change the fact that he's got a job to do, and there is not time to waste in a baseball season. So for all those reasons, everybody, Alvarez is trying to lock into the best of his abilities, and he's looked great in Syracuse thus far. And one man who has been speaking glowingly of him is Mr. JP Arancibia. If you guys don't know JP is a former MLB catcher. I believe he was in the Philadelphia Phillies organization, Toronto Blue Jays, among many others, and he's been a coach there for the Mets in Syracuse the past couple seasons. And I care about a man's opinion of a former major leaguer, specifically a catcher, than I do a bit more than a third baseman in the case of Eric Chavez. And hearing JP say a lot of the following things stuck out to me. And here's the following, guys. And I'm going to relay a lot from this article, so just listen in because I want to make sure you guys hear this. This is from JP himself, and I quote, "He's a smart guy who knows the game and gets you going." Let's see this. Let me make sure I have this pulled up properly. I apologize, everybody. Okay. He's a smart guy who knows the game and gets you going if you need that extra kick in the butt. Mets pitching prospect Brandon Sproat said he's been great regarding Alvarez. So that's awesome to hear. And JP, let's get from in a second, but we also have a quote from Brooks Raley, who's continued to thrive in his rehab, and Raley, who got himself a nice big hug and smile from Alvarez there in Syracuse when he was first sent down, said, "All I've seen Alvarez do is work his tail off." And then JP Arancibia said, "Honestly, he's been unbelievable." JP says he comes in, he wants to see video, he wants to go over stuff, he's much more open. Sometimes going to AAA, people may think it's a wake-up call, but I think sometimes it's more of an opportunity to take a breath. And I think that couldn't be more true in the case of Alvarez, who's had a rushed season. But let's not forget that key injury that derailed his first month of the year, right? If it wasn't for that injury, Alvarez wouldn't have probably been putting the pedal in the metal right away, thinking that he had to go and be that guy right away, because things would have been a bit more natural in the flows of the 162 versus being rushed, coming back from injury, that kind of thing, and trying to lock in right away. He's been up here and he's had success in 2023. He hit more than 20 homers that we saw. Barnes said, so we are trying to pay attention to that and find the happy middle there. Jeremy Barnes said, Mets hitting coach, as we know. While in AAA, however, Alvarez said that he has tried to blend his old swing from a couple years ago with what he learned over the winter. As we know, this past winter, he spent working in the facilities that JD Martinez recommended based out of Atlanta, which is why we were seeing Alvarez constantly taking BP earlier this year by hitting the opposite field constantly versus trying to pull the baseball, try to be more of a widespread balanced hitter. But the problem is that just isn't Alvarez's game. Alvarez is not a guy that we need to be poking singles, hitting 250 with no power. Alvarez has the power, and it's time that he taps into it. And on that strength, Alvarez says, and I quote, "I feel strong. I feel like I could do damage." And regarding JP, he states the following: "This guy's God-given ability is to hit the ball as hard as anybody." That quote is very important, everybody, because that's quite contrasting from what we've seen Eric Chavez state regarding his 2023 season, because we're going to compare and contrast them in a second, guys. If you look at Alvarez's 2023 season, I'd give my Dane right arm for that. You grow from what that was. I think he went a different way. I think by trying to be this guy, he wasn't. It's like any of us, we are the best version of ourselves when we are fully athletic. Authentic, I meant to say. That's what he's getting back to. I wonder what happened with Alvarez's plate approach after the 2023 season, everybody. I'm really, really curious as to what happened. As you guys can see here, this is what happened. Just to show you guys a side-by-side of quotes here for a second. What I was just relaying you was that quote regarding JP, but the quote here regarding Carlos Mendoza is important. Let's go ahead. We're going to hop over here. Don't mind the fact that you can't see me for a second. You can still hear me. That's all that matters, baby. And now we're going to pull this up. I'm looking at the wrong thing. That's what we're going to talk about in a second. This is what I want to show you guys. I told him, "Listen, you hit 25 home runs last year. That's great. I looked at your year and I don't think it was very good. There's a lot of areas you could get better at." That is a literal quote from Eric Chavez after the 2023 rookie breakout season with 20 plus home runs for the young 21-year-old in Francisco Alvarez. Yeah, you mean to tell me that this is supposed to instill confidence in a young player? Talk about making a player completely overthink, completely lose confidence, and completely get away from the game. That honestly is exactly why the Mets effing signed him to that large IFA signing bonus in the first place when they first made it happen. Can we please emphasize that too for a second, everybody? The Mets at the time when they signed Francisco Alvarez as a 17-year-old out of Venezuela was the largest signing team history. Now, granted, every year they've had the largest signing team history because they just keep spending stupid money there and their bonus pool, which I'm not complaining about either. Shout out Ellie and Pena, that we'll get into in a little bit. But the point we're trying to make here is that you signed the guy because you knew that he had raw, immediate power potential as a catcher. You knew that you saw a guy that has 20 plus home run, if not 30 plus home run potential as a catcher every single season at the young age in his early 20s. That is very hard to come by. That is almost an anomaly, especially at his age. It was an anomaly in Major League Baseball. Yet, for whatever reason, Eric Chavez was upset with the fact that because of the fact that Buddy was hitting more 200, that, I'm sorry, every single Mets fan and their mother is taking a Francisco Alvarez hitting closer to the Mendoza line with 25 to 30 home runs every year and a north of 800 plus OPS than an Alvarez hitting 50 points higher and over 150 points down on his OPS. I think that goes without saying. We don't need Alvarez to be this contact king. He's not trying to be a batting champ like doing his best McNeil 2022 impression. We just need Alvarez to play his game. And it's a damn shame that we've gone so far away from it because of what I think we could rightfully argue and say has exactly to do with the Mets' in-house decision-making, starting with their own coaching staff. What does that tell you, everybody? You see Alvarez thriving with the lack of pressure, but thriving with being instilled with constant confidence in AAA because JP is gassing him up constantly. Wow, who would have thought? It's almost like by getting confidence instilled by the people around you instead of being downplayed on how your performance has been, that you're going to get the best out of these players, especially young players in their early 20s. Who could fathom such a thing? You see how much I'm talking like a smart aleck right now? I have to act this way because for some reason, some way, shape, or form, the Mets coaching staff themselves couldn't comprehend this reality, which is exactly why, and again, not to blame Chavez for all of Alvarez's issues, but when it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, damn it, it's a duck. What I'm trying to say is he's absolutely a focal point behind this. Not the sole reason, but when you get these kind of quotes, when you get these kind of remarks, and when you make a batter go ahead and change his game, We saw Alvarez not be the same the ensuing season after in 2024, injury aside. Now we've seen Alvarez look more and more like a shell of what he used to be. This is a problem, everybody. And how can this problem get better? The problem can get better if we have coaches that don't go out of their way to make such asinine comments, in my humble opinion. Because as we expand from there, everybody, there's more that I want you guys to hear from this article that I think is very important. Because as we know, Alvarez's game is obviously working on his defense big time. He knows he's fallen off a cliff there versus where he was just a couple years ago. And regarding that, Alvarez said, right now, I feel like everything has gone better. And Alvarez does have a point. In 10 games there, Alvarez has been in AAA. His framing ranks in the 100th percentile, which means he's top of his class. So Alvarez, who is, mind you, in the bottom feeder percentile, one of the worst framers in all Major League Baseball this season, now he's already elite in the 100%. That doesn't happen overnight without not only confidence being instilled, but a clear change in philosophy versus what he was previously doing. Again, it's almost like Alvarez is taking advantage now of what he's learning back in AAA and getting back to his roots. It's a very important thing. Receiving wise, Alvarez is a Ferrari, JP says here in this article. Ferrari is still a Ferrari, but if the tires are flat, it's not going to drive as good. But if you fill up those tires and it drives good again, his tires were a little flat when it came to his positioning. Once he got that feeling again, which was a simple adjustment, I knew a Ferrari would drive like a Ferrari again. He didn't lose his hands. His hands are lightning fast. JP Arencibia is single-handedly figuring out Francisco Alvarez when no one on this Metropolitan team, on the active team itself, was able to do nearly as much over the month span that they had with him. Yet you mean to tell me, in just a couple weeks of being in Syracuse, they're getting the best out of him? Again, this is what happens when you have a guy that can relate with Alvarez in a way that others can't. Eric can say everything that he wants to say, but the fact that he's never... I shouldn't actually go I'm actually sounding like a very big idiot now, aren't I? Hold on, folks. I need to double check something real quick just to make sure that I'm not going absolutely crazy here. Hold on. I'm just clarifying. You guys are going to see this in real time if I'm a big dunce, because I know I can be a big dunce. Okay, I'm just making sure, because I had a flashback in my head for a second to say, no way Eric Chavez was playing catcher consistently. He wasn't. Chavez was mainly third base, as we know. He was a stud of a third baseman for the A's, as a matter of fact. And that's great and all, good and all, but when you have Chavez, who, again, is not a guy who's known for playing that position, versus a guy who only played that his entire professional career, I'm sorry. I'm going to take those words with more weight than what you're getting at the Major League level. It doesn't matter if they're from Syracuse or at the big league level. Who can relate more from one player to another? JP is clearly doing that to the best of his abilities with the young Francisco Alvarez right now, and it is clearly showing that they're getting the best out of Alvarez in the process of how this is working. So, to expand more in the final quote I'll share regarding Alvarez from this article, guys, my goal right now is to be a better player, a better catcher, a better hitter. Alvarez says, whenever I go back up there, I am going to compete every day. So, I'm looking forward to having Alvy back with this Mets team. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below your thoughts, not only about the Mets kind of being able to take advantage of the contract status of Alvarez by keeping him in the minor leagues through Saturday, but also the fact that we have such contrasting opinions after his breakout 2023 season, from the active Mets hitting coach to the man who's getting the best out of him now at the AAA level in JP Arencibia. Let me know all your thoughts about that in the comments down below, everybody. Because to go on now from talking about Francisco Alvarez, let's expand more on the pitching front. Because as we know, Sean Manaea had his latest rehab outing this past day, and Sean Manaea was solid. Francisco Alvarez, though, as you guys can see there, to expand a little bit more, there was his RBI base knock, the go-ahead RBI single there for the Syracuse Mets yesterday that they saw over the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, which is like right around the block from me where I reside, so I'm not complaining about that, everybody. But that's what you got there in Alvarez, and now let's show you guys Sean Manaea. As we know, he had his latest rehab outing that I want to show. I thought I had clips. Here we go, guys. As you guys can see here, Sean did allow a couple earned runs in his final rehab outing. I believe he allowed 3 total across 3+ innings. Nothing to be concerned by. However, again, if you guys are concerned about Sean Manaea rehab outings, I got a bridge to sell you, because this is just to get this man healthy, ramped up. That is all that matters, and the Samoan Southpaw is in fact ready to go. So what's going to happen now with Sean Manaea, everybody? Sean Manaea, as has been officially stated of Anthony Como, Carlos Mendoza, among others, is as long as there's no changes now, he will be in fact starting this Sunday. That is like basically officially official now. So great news regarding the Simone Southpaw, guys, and expand more on Sean Manaea, let's hear a quick interview that our great friend on the platform that many of you guys know, Samantha Croston, had to share. She does a great job there with her reporting out of Syracuse, and she had a quick comment and wanted to get an answer from Sean Manaea this past day, so let's see this quick interview.
Feel like you're past the elbow issue now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, after today, I mean, I felt good whole way through, so, yeah, I think it's, yeah, so I got to take care of it, but definitely not worried about it.
Feel ready to go for Sunday?
Yes.
There you go. So again, do you feel you're past the elbow issue? Yes. After today, I felt good all the way through. You feel ready for Sunday? Yes, very much so. So Sean Manaea is locked in. He is ready to return, everybody. And I actually apologize. I thought Samantha asked a question, but she was just there recording as well. So shout out again, Samantha Croston. You guys will see her back on the platform real soon, as she's a reoccurring guest here, one of many awesome people in this Mets community. But to expand now from going on from Sean Manaea, we do have some notes, not just regarding him, but also we have some notes regarding Mr. Kodai Senga. As you guys can see here from Anthony Como, it has been officially stated that yes, Senga from that hamstring injury is coming off the injured list this Friday to toe the rubber for Game 1 in Kansas City against these Royals. Kodai returns as well as Sean Manaea, and the Mets are looking at a piggyback situation in the afternoon with him and Clay Holmes. So that's what the Mets are going to be getting there on Sunday. I like that as well, especially the fact that the Mets are not necessarily getting too much in the case of Clay length right now, because he's great until he isn't, and we saw many hunt him out a little too long to dry yesterday, if you ask me. That's why he gave up 5 over 5 in part. Did not like him staying in there, not only to face Gunnar, but then ultimately Ryan O'Hearn. Just things that were head scratching, and it wouldn't have happened if you just had a reliever warming up to begin the inning when it was always going to be his last inning. But again, Wardy, I shouldn't get on that tangent anymore. That's in the past. Let's focus on what's in front. And what's in front is the Mets trying to win this series against the Baltimore Orioles at the time of this video coming out, everybody. But we do have some more things to make note before we get out of here, and it is as follows. As we know, Tyler McGill has been transferred to the 60-day injured list, which is very unfortunate for Tyler, meaning that the earliest that McGill can return is late August this season. Needless to say, the Mets are for certain going to be looking to add a starter, and will be more than likely adding a starter by the deadline, which will further box out, for now at least, Tyler McGill and his rotation spot for the foreseeable future. And I don't think that's anything the Mets are stressing about, considering that they were comfortable to put him on the 60-day IL here. Starling Marte was placed on the 10-day injured list this past day, just like we all suspected, unfortunately, because of that right knee bruise. It was retroactive to July 7th, and he will return right after the All-Star break, and that will also be the case in Jose Budo. You know, something that I think is very impressive with this Mets team that gets lost is the fact that the Mets actively have 16-plus players on the injured list. That's important because no other team in Major League Baseball has that many guys on the shelf. The Mets have more injuries right now actively than any other team in Major League Baseball. Yet we sit here today with a club that's 53-39. We sit with a team that obviously has been very much so back to their winning ways than anything else. They've won 5 of their past 6 games now, including their biggest comeback win of the year just this past night alone. Talk about a momentum builder. That certainly helps in that category big time. And final note that we have to share, everybody, is regarding these prospects. So let's break down now briefly what we have here on the prospect front to share. And this, I'm going to give a big shout out to my guy Michael Mayer on X, because when I do not get the chance to do complete deep dives in between each individual game, I go to my guy Michael Mayer when it comes to prospects, because he is on top of it there for Metsmerize. And Michael states the following of the key notables that we saw this past night there in AAA Syracuse, as well as Brooklyn Cyclones, the Rummel Ponies there for Binghamton, and what we see in the Port St. Lucie Mets and even the DSL League. And starting the DSL, Elian Pena, the Mets' top IFA signing earlier this year, he looks amazing. 1 for 3 with an RBI. Justin Ramirez, 2 for 5 with 2 home runs, and Yorber Semprun, 4 for 5 with a home run and a stolen bag. In the FCL, we said Edward Lentwiga and Jeffrey Rosa each hit a home run. And low-A there that we saw for the Port St. Lucie Mets, Jeremy Rodriguez and Kevin Vela. I'm going to butcher the last name. I'm just going to go with Kevin Vela here. They both hit a home run that we saw. And high-A for the Brooklyn Cyclones, who they, as well as the Rummel Ponies, have been amazing this year in the minor leagues. Both at 50-plus wins apiece, doing their best Mets impression. We saw there Will Watson, 3 shutty, 5 strikeouts. Then we see Double-A for the Rummel Ponies. Jet, the Met Williams, 3 for 5 with not 1, not 2, but 3 stolen bases. Yeah, Jet Williams continues to be fantastic at the Rumble Pony level. He will be at Syracuse sooner rather than later. And a walk. Carson Bench looks like he's made a perfect transition since the call-up that we've seen to the Rumble Pony level. The former first-round pick from a year ago, 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs, 2 walks. Ryan Clifford had 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, including a grand slam. But the context of that grand slam is important. That's why I'm not running the highlight, even though it was a nice home run. It was off of a position player because the Rumble Ponies were just killing the team that they were playing. 2 for 6, though, big game for Ryan. Wyatt Yan, big contact game for Wyatt there. 4 for 4 with a walk and 2 RBIs. Jan's had more of a quiet season versus last year with a lot of the other position player prospects blossoming this year for the Mets, but Wyatt was quietly a nice little high riser there as either a plate setter at the top of the order or at the bottom of the order that you guys will see in your lineup. And Brian Montoya went 2 innings of 0 hit, 4 strikeout ball. And at the AAA level, everybody, in Syracuse, Brooks Raley, again, 1.1 shutty. Brooks Raley has now pitched 8 scoreless innings at least of rehab work that we have seen at the minor league level. From Port St. Lucie up to AAA Syracuse, Buddy is ready to return. If you guys know anything, you know how much I love Brooks Raley and how much I cannot wait to see this guy return to this Mets bullpen and had a strikeout. The Simone Southpaw, we just talked about him, 3.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Alvarez, 2 for 5 with the go-ahead RBI. Drew Gilbert, 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a walk. And Jared Young, Joey Meneses, and David Villar, the triple, the guys that are fringe major leaguers, more AAA guys right now, all hit a home run and said ball game. So that, folks, is what you got there for our latest prospect report, and that is what you got for our latest Big Mets update segment. I would like to thank you guys all so much for watching this live on a replay. If you found yourself enjoying the content, please make sure to hit a like and subscribe on your way out. It's greatly appreciated, and be on the lookout as we will have more Mets content for you guys, not only later today, but all throughout the course of the 162 in season, off-season, postseason. We have you covered. Thank you guys again. As always, no matter what, let's go Mets, baby. Talk to you guys again soon.